Dnipro, Ukraine's fourth largest city, sits in the country's central east region and is now a major business hub. But its history took a dark turn in 2007 when the city was still called Dnipropetrovsk, a name that would become forever tied to one of Ukraine's most disturbing crime waves. It began on June 25, 2007. That night, 33-year-old Yekaterina Ilchenko was walking home after visiting a friend. She never made it back. At 5 a.m., her mother discovered her brutally beaten body. Her injuries were so severe that she was nearly unrecognizable. Less than an hour later, another body was found, and this time 48-year-old Roman Tsvili. He had also been killed with a blunt object, his face smashed beyond recognition. His body was found near the local prosecutor's office, a chilling taunt, suggesting the killer wasn't afraid of law enforcement. 2 days, 2 senseless murders, and it was just the beginning. On July 1st, 2 more victims were discovered in Novomoskovsk, Nikolai Serchuk and Yevgenia Grishenko. Both had been beaten to death, with similar brutality, linking them to the earlier killings. Then, on July 6th, 3 more bodies appeared. First was Igor Necheporenko, murdered while walking home from a nightclub. His mother discovered his body near their building the next morning. That same night, 28-year-old Yelena Shramko was attacked while walking home from work. She was hit repeatedly in the face with a hammer. Her clothes were used to clean the weapon and left behind, proof that robbery wasn't the motive. The final victim that day was Valentina Gonsa, a mother of 3. Her injuries mirrored the earlier victims, another savage attack without reason. Then, the violence reached Petrivka. 2 14-year-old boys were attacked during a fishing trip. Andrei Sidyuk was killed, but his friend Vadim Lyakov survived by hiding in the woods. Though he reported the incident, police had little to go on. No clear motive, no suspect, just growing fear. The city was under siege, and no one knew who would be next. On July 12, 2007, an event shook Ukraine and captured global attention. Sergei Yatsenko, a man recovering from throat cancer and regaining his voice, went on a solo motorcycle ride. He never returned. 4 days later, his decomposing body was discovered. Despite the heat, signs of a vicious assault were still evident. Then, on July 14th, 45-year-old Natalia Mamerchuk was riding her scooter through a wooded area in Dniprodzerzhinsk when 2 men attacked her. Witnesses tried to intervene, but couldn't save her. Tragically, the attackers fled. However, this time the case took a turn. Witnesses had seen them. Investigators now believe they were hunting 2 killers, not 1. By this point, the spree was spiraling out of control. 12 more murders followed at an alarming pace, nearly 2 bodies per day. The victims were often vulnerable: children, women, or people impaired by drugs or alcohol. The killings were shockingly brutal, many involving torture. One woman had her eyes gouged while alive. A pregnant victim had her fetus removed. There was no clear motive, only violence for its own sake. The breakthrough came when police traced a victim's phone to a local pawn shop. This lead brought them to Viktor Sayenko and Igor Supranyuk, both 19. The 2 were arrested and quickly gave up the name of a supposed accomplice, Alexander Hanja, tied to a robbery. He was arrested separately at his home. But the most damning evidence wasn't just the phone, it was the videos. Police discovered the suspects had filmed many of their murders. These weren't just recordings, they were horrifying trophies. The most infamous video, later leaked online under the name 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, showed Sergei Yatsenko's murder in graphic detail, being stabbed in the eyes with a screwdriver and beaten with a hammer while still alive. In other footage, the killers could be seen mocking victims at their funerals, even flipping off coffins and gravestones. The truth was out, and the horrors, recorded by the killers themselves, would haunt the world forever. Over the course of 2 months, Sayenko and Supranyuk killed 21 people. One suspect's girlfriend later revealed they planned to murder 40 victims and record each killing. At trial, prosecutors suggested their motive was morbid self-affirmation. They lacked empathy, human connection, and any moral compass. With overwhelming evidence, authorities charged Sayenko and Suprunyuk with premeditated murder, while Hanja, uninvolved in the killings, was charged with robbery. Sayenko and Suprunyuk received life sentences, and Hanja was sentenced to 9 years in prison. The media dubbed them the Dnipropetrovsk Maniacs, a label that made their city infamous worldwide for horrifying reasons. Surprisingly, these killers didn't come from troubled homes. All three were raised in wealthy, well-connected families and were expected to have promising futures. They met in school and bonded over a disturbing obsession: conquering fear. To fight phobias, they reportedly engaged in stunts like hanging off a 14th floor balcony. What led them down such a dark and violent path remains a mystery. As of now, Hanja has been released after serving his sentence. Sayenko and Suprunyuk remain imprisoned, likely for life. While the story is deeply disturbing, there is some solace in knowing that these dangerous individuals were captured and can never harm anyone again.